Alright then, here we are, another live stream. Haven't done one in quite a while, because I am too busy. Let's see. I need to quickly set this all up again because I reinstalled my machine and I didn't edit Streamlabs OBS yet, so just installed it. And yeah, I need to check that everything is alright again, and then we can start doing our stuff, the actual coding today for real-time rendering. I just want to give me a bit more time. This is a bit of a more louder part of the music to see that everything works, because it's always hard to hear if everything is correct. But I hope it is. So I just give it a few seconds ahead of time, and then we're gonna see if everything works here on the stream in terms of audio. This is a bit of a more louder part of the music to see that everything works, because it's always hard. That's looking good. I also got a green light on YouTube that everything is okay with the quality. I'm not quite sure. I've redone a bit of my network setup here at home. Actually, the stream should be way better. I think I'm just streaming in HD because it's probably the default Streamlabs setting. Can I see this? I don't see what quality it is, but can I see this here? Oh, 720p just. Can I change this while the stream is running? Don't think so. That I can change it, but I think it should be okay to stream in that quality. Can I change it? Stream output. I think I need to change this. Yeah, it's 720p. But I can change it while I'm live. That's good. So now you should have a bit of a better video quality for the stream there as well. I hope that my bandwidth is gonna take it, but it should be good. So yeah, let's now actually get started after 2 minutes of organization stuff, getting all the stream working. This is gonna be a quick stream today. Other thing where I would have need to cut like a 1 hour video. I didn't want to do that, and I need to do some coding as well, so I thought, alright, I'm gonna give you a stream so you have a bit of content that I can get coding stuff done. So obviously, like the title is suggesting, we're gonna write some DirectX 12 code for real-time rendering, because real-time rendering currently can't render. I've finished all that resource pipelines, including caching. I've done this all by hand, and what I now need to do so that we can continue is write some code for DirectX 12 so that we can do it. So what we want to do now is we want to start the DirectX 12 code, and to use DirectX 12 we need a window. So probably what we want to do is do a boring Windows window. That's going to be quite simple. I'm just creating a new file here. The file that I'm creating, how I'm gonna name this, I'm gonna name it, do I just name it window, or do I split this up into 2? I think I'm probably gonna split this up. So window factory is the one file that I want to create, and that's gonna be in our real-time rendering infrastructure namespace, since it's like backend code that we really don't care about in the series. It's called window factory, and the window factory is going to be responsible for for creating windows, managing the state, managing the window procs, and redirection to the actual windows that are created. So I'm going to do this in a fashion that I haven't done that for a while. By the way, I've found out a new way of doing it, which is a bit more C++ likely and a bit more flexible. I mean, it's not really the point in here, but since we are doing the stream, it would be maybe also interesting in showing to you how you can write this in a fancy way. Now, we need memory, we need functional for that. Now the idea is the window factory should be a singleton, so It's gonna get a default constructor. I do not want to be able to copy it or assign it. And what we're gonna give it is a inline window factory reference, or a static inline because it's a singleton. Get instance. Just gonna have a static window factory. Just gonna be returned here. Yeah, of course I need to delete that one as well. Now this is the point of doing a singleton. It's simply like that, and what I tend to do is I tend to separate them. So the singleton is somewhere down there, and the actual features of the class are stored up here. Now what we're gonna have is we're gonna have a class name. It's gonna be stored in an std string, w string, and I'm gonna initialize this to the value that I wanna have it. I could make this const, but I wanna do it like that. Now, do I want to make this loggable? Yeah, let's make this loggable. I think we don't have a log included yet, so let's include that one. So that we can log if something goes wrong there. Now, what do I want to call this? I want to call this D3D class real-time rendering. So I want to call this, and then I want to have a boolean class registered, which is going to be equal to false. And then we want to have a void init. That's going to initialize the class. Let's create a source file for that. And let's implement the initialization code. Now the first thing that I want to do is I want to create myself a logger. So I call the set logger function, and I'm going to create a logger from the manager. I think I have not included the log manager here. The log manager, there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the log manager, get the instance, and create a logger. How do I want to call this? VND. Just VND for window. I think it should be sufficient to create a logger like that. Then we need to define the actual window. VND class XW is the class that we want to use here for the window. This needs to be initialized to be the size of that instance, and everything else I'm just gonna steal from the win user header. CV size, we already had that one. And all of these parameters are required. Now if I paste them in, it's probably trying to reorder them. No, it's not. That's good. So then we can do it like that. And we should have a bit of a boilerplate code in here that we can fill out. Now the style is VS OwnDC, no CS OwnDC, which stands for a own device context. We need that own device context for DirectX 12. If we do not have that own device context, DirectX 12 will not be able to render to that. Window proc, I'm going to leave that empty for a second. We do not want to allocate any extra data. We could use that, but I'm not a fan of that. Hello, welcome to the stream, Emil. Yeah, my stream box works. Okay, that's good. Since I'm actually... Yeah, I could do it, but since the struct is really not having anything else in here, if I'm initializing everything, it's not 100% required. But there are some Microsoft structs that are actually... that's actually wanted that clear initialization. Especially DirectX 12. I had a few structs that had some like reserved data and some overlap data, and if they had some invalid stuff in there, it didn't work. Window class is fine with it, but it's surely, I think, cleaner if you do it. Yeah, you're right. I think I wanna take the H instance there as well. So that it's I don't need to call a function. I'm initializing that from main anyways. Icon, load icon, IDI application, cursor, IDC error, no background. It's a H brush. The question is like an H brush. It's always like the Microsoft says everything which is Microsoft stuff should take the C style null macro. C++ says a pointer takes null pointer. This is a handle, and a handle is a void pointer. So yeah, that depends on your style. I think since it's a pointer, I am gonna go with null pointer for that. Don't gonna use a menu name, class name, C-string. That's simple. I'm gonna use the same one there. Now we have the boilerplate code in here, and now what we want to do is we want to actually write a window proc function. Now, window proc function is lresult callback, I think. Window proc. Actually, it's like more message proc. Message proc setup. I think we first get the message, then the window, or the other way around. I always know. I can't remember that. Proc. There it is. Now window proc takes the window and then the parameter, then the message. So let's do it like that. W param, there's a good way on remembering that W param needs to be on the left because L param, L stands for left, and it's actually not as you expected. So W is the first one. That's how I remember that one always. Alright, so static result callback, setup, and execute, however you want to call these. Now, how is the setup gonna work? We're gonna wait until we get the magic VM N and C create message. Yeah, get module handle null is the idea of doing. However, I want to avoid that call. Since we are calling that from main, we can just directly pass in the pointer, right? It's gonna get into, after block manager is initiated, the file system gets initiated, and after that I'm gonna initiate the window. So the window factory is gonna be somewhere here, and then it's better since we are gonna at some point use the Win API functions. Now currently this is still not a W main, so we don't have it available. But at some point we're gonna have a W main, and I wanna then pass it on from the W main, so I don't need to call it again. Just use this with W or without it. I tend to nowadays always use the W to be explicit. But it's like, at some point I'm gonna have a white main, and then I can just pass this on. So yeah. Return default window proc is what we always want to do. Like that. And what we want to do is we want to get our create struct W pointer. What do you call this? Create struct. It's stored on the L param. And from the create struct we have the, how's it called? Create LP create params. It's a parameter that you can supply while creating the window. And what we want to do here is we want to store something in here. Now what I want to store here is I want to store a pointer to a helper struct that I am using. So what we're actually going to store is we're going to store a pointer to some data, and this data is going to be window factory handle. And no, let's call this one. Actually, we can just use using here, since we're just gonna have one element in here. So the handler is gonna be an STD function. An STD function of type result, hvnd, uint, vparam, lparam. This is the type of handler that we're gonna store in here. And this needs to be heap allocated actually. So what we need to do, we need to cast this to a handler pointer. That's going to be the handler that can actually handle message callbacks. Now what we then need to do is we need to store the handler. So set window long pointer for my window into the user data. I want to store the handler. So that it's stored. And down here I actually want to call my handler. I could call operator bool. I can just do here the param. And then what we need to do is we need to redirect this to the new function. Let the window proc to be a long pointer to our window factory message proc execute. An explicit function pointer here. You don't need that. I like to do it. Now, this is gonna redirect us to the other function that we have, the execute one. And what I want to do in here in the execute one is I want to create that get that handler pointer. So handler pointer to get a window long pointer, VVLP user data. Then we have the handler in here. What we then can do is we can call the handler. So similar than we have done it previously. And that's it. One thing that we now need to be aware of is how we're going to manage that handler pointer, since this is heap allocated. I'm going to manage the handler pointer on window creation. So what we're going to have here is we're going to have a create. They're going to have a new window function because create window is a macro. And if I'm calling my function the same way, it doesn't work. So what I have is going to have a new window function that's going to allocate the handler pointer, so it needs to be freed at some point. And I'm going to free it if the message is going to be mvnc destroy. So if we are destroying the window, I want to delete the pointer. Basically, what I say is I call delete handler, set window long pointer, and I want to say gvlp window proc def window proc w. Long pointer. Then we gotta make sure that everything is handled correctly. And we might want to go call the handler previously. So I might say result equals handler. Something like that. So that nc create actually gets to the handler. Then we can use the result from the handler, but the handler is probably also gonna call the default window proc. However, I wanna allow the handler to also see that it's being deleted, so that the message still goes through. We could additionally check if the handler is valid, but we really don't need it since it's been asserted. Now what I want to do is maybe do a bit of a logging here. We could try to get the name of the window. Can we get the name of the window and then create? I think it's actually inside the yeah, that's a name is actually in here. So actually let's say, okay, this is static, so we have no access to the logger. But since this is a singleton, we can get the instance and simply log it like that. Window created. So that we really know what's going on. And then I think, do we have W string support? I should. I think I selected that for SPD log. Let's see. I mean, it's not gonna probably give me the error here, but during compiling. And it seems like it is not. Is FMT not? It should have W string support. Fparse, yeah, that's really not useful. We need to take a look on where it actually has been declared. And at some point we should heave this file. It has a problem with the class name. I think this is because Conan is not working correctly in the version that I have, but I can try fixing that. How can I do this? Pip upgrade package reinstall to reinstall the current version. Upgrade force reinstall package. That's what I need. Because my package manager is outdated that I have in my system. How did you... Why are there so many spaces? I'm doing force reinstall because I tinkered around with my local files. Which we need to do as well. Okay. Now we have 2.0.2, I had only 2.0.1 installed. But the problem is that now it's not gonna work. Because if I now do autogen here to regenerate my project, Conan is gonna yell at us. It's exactly that what we had here. Premic depths component has no whatever. So what I want to do is I want to open up that file. I want to open up GitHub. And I want to open up my still not being taken care of pull request. Go to the files changed, go to my premix steps. Can I open that full file? I think yes. Come on. Your file, there we go. This should be the new one. And then this file is going to be replaced. It's a super hacky dirty way of updating stuff. And then autogen should magically work. Yeah, without any issues. And now I have a working project. Maybe now I can debug why it's not going. Conan has an option, view or show. No, it's called list. Okay. Conan list. And what I want to list is FMT. It should give me FMT. But I want to list that version, that specific one. Why are you not giving me details? Do I need more options? Or was it a different command? No, I think it was search, not list, search. How can I search for details? F format, V. Because they no longer show you all the options that you have. Inspect. Maybe inspect. Inspect. Ha, of course not. The problem is I don't know how the options are called. I mean, actually, there's my VCHAR support that I was looking for that was not being compiled improperly. Maybe it is now because I have the proper version installed. Is it not now compiling? No, it's not compiling. Of course, why should it compile? I mean, I have explicitly enabled wchar support, but yeah. SPD log wchar. Let's see if we find something on the internet. Still no wchar support. Maybe we could try defining that one. It should be defined automatically, but it's probably not. Probably it should be defined because Conan should handle that, but either the recipe is broken or Conan itself, and I think Conan itself because I think it worked previously. Let's see. Defining external and compiled lib, but not the one that we need. So what I can do to quickly see if that's a problem. The question is if it's really supporting that if I'm just adding this into one file. No, it does not. Because it's probably like an FMT. Do I need to call FMT as well? Is FMT requiring a wchar support as well? But for that I would need to have that. Yeah, so I have no wchar support. Could write my own classes to convert them, but I don't. I think I'm just gonna omit logging then. If it's not working, I mean it should work from the defines and everything. I'm not gonna bother why the libraries are not working anymore. Always. It's already too much time involved in figuring that out. But that's not something that we should do too much. Right. Then let's continue on with the actual code. Now we actually need to register the class. Just like that, that's not enough. Register window. Register class x w. That's what we want. So we have a pointer to the class vcx. Now that one shall return an atom, and I think the atom is null if it's not working, or 0 if it's not working. So m class, no, m class registered is that not equal 0. And then we can sit, now we can say something, now we can say, can check it if not m class registered, get logger error, fail to register window class. Maybe we should even throw return a bool in an init function. And now we should get a feedback. I'm not gonna check that because it's not the final code. But we should already get some output. I still need to figure out how I can tell Conan to copy my PDBs as well. We don't get any error, so that's good. Everything is working. Still get my output from my... I have to scroll up, even if I wouldn't scroll up, I don't see the error, but we don't get an error, so everything is good. Yeah, this is all like still the code that's required for the resources. That's why there's so many information in here. Now we should have a good initialization. Now, let's actually do this one empty and then populate it step by step. I want to have you up here. So we want to call the create window XW function. For that we have an X style. We have an X style, a class name, which is my class name, C string. We're gonna have a window name and we're gonna have a style. So dvert style, dvert X style. And then we need the name of the class, stdw string. This could be also string view. That would be okay. I'm not quite sure. So how big is actually a string view? Probably the string view has a pointer and a size attached. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can copy it. Or have to do it, put it as a const reference. Yeah, let's copy that. It's just gonna be a bit better title. Title. And in general, we should just be able to use data here in normal occurrences. Could break though. Then we have X, Y, width and height. And height. No. X, Y, width and height. If I can type correctly. Then we have the parent. We're not gonna use support parent windows here. And we're gonna have a menu. Now the H instance. I wanna avoid these function calls, so what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna store my H instance. At some point we also wanna have a destructor for that class. Or do we want to have? It's not that big of a deal to not unregister window class. Now the parameters are going to be a new handler. That new handler shall copy from an old handler, from not an old, an existing one. We want to copy that over. Like that. Now we can copy that signature. Put it in here. Yeah. One thing that I might want to do is yeah, provide some default arguments. Width and height really don't matter with a default argument, but yeah, maybe let's do HD window. We might want to though compute the width and height. Do we want to do it there? Since we probably... No, we don't really want to compute the window bounds. We do not need to have an exact window. That really doesn't matter, because it's either going to be maximized automatically, and then it's going through DirectX 12 resizing, so it doesn't matter. I just want to give it some default overlapped flags, so that we have a bit of default options available. And maybe we want to also provide a default location, which should put this somewhere on the main screen that you do. Hi, welcome to the stream. Okay. Python handler though should be empty. And now the idea is that this is already working, if I haven't made any mistake. So if I create my window, infrastructure, window factory, get instance, window. Now I need to provide a handler. I could use a lambda there. This would need to, maybe we're gonna, yeah, I don't really need that one. What is it? Okay, of course I need to return something. This should then be okay. And I can do something. Yeah, I'm not gonna have a window loop yet, so it really doesn't make sense doing anything like that, but it's like the idea. How is this SV? SV normal, yeah. I'm quite sure if this populates through. Okay, so there was a problem. Why not CV use default? What is CV use default? I'm not remembering that flag. I do not wanna. I wanna have the official documentation, not some Stack Overflow thing. Yeah, you could use that as well. But it's no point. You can also, is that using the, is use default the value? Is it the value that puts that on the current screen where the cursor is? Yes, then this might not be what I want. Because most of the time you want to use for graphic windows the default screen. But still there's something else wrong in the code, but I'm gonna figure this out now. Okay, so we are on your window and we have somehow a null pointer problem. H instance, is that the problem? That I'm too bad to store the H instance? No. Thrown at access violation executing location. Looks actually quite valid. Where is your null pointer? Interesting. It's there the problem, right? So it needs to be something to do with the... Can it be that the... oh, this shouldn't need to be living longer. Is that in the raw view a proper string? It probably is. I'm gonna double check that one. But it is. It's a proper string. That one as well. Did I mismatch some of the parameters? Is that occurring? It's probably occurring in that call, right? Yeah. Who is calling what? It's not going back to my code. So it's not the callback that should be the problem. Interesting. Why is Windows set at Evolute? I once had a comment that this Evolute is doing sometimes things it shall not do. Let me quickly check that. I had somebody that told me that this Evolute gets problems sometimes. What's it called? It's called... My question is, how can you find something? Would remember who was that and when. Ah, there it is, Evolute. This has caused me known problems over the years. The garbage software called Nahimi whatever injects blah 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 blah. So I don't think that this should be the problem, but I don't know why it's not working though. MSI, it is MSI. How is it? Where is my disabled? How's the service called? Nahimic service. If I disable that service, is that gonna get rid of these spams at least? Okay, so it's at least not that one. I've disabled this like Evolute shit. But it's still... what is the problem? UX, it's loading UX theme DLL. Is it loading that before that it's executed? But is co-init required now? Co-initialize X. What was the parameter? I think there was something like multi-thread, whatever, what you need to call. Where is this parameter come from? Whatever. Don't think that co-initialize X should be required for window creation nowadays. But who knows with the new WinUI stuff. No. Am I an idiot? Never found a window that was crashing that easily. Is that a wrong calling convention? Is this not callback? Window proc. How are you defining that? Not at all. I don't think this should be a problem. Am I going into that code? I don't think so. No. Interesting. I should be. At least that's what I hope, if Conan are... yeah, I think so. It shouldn't be a comp problem. Yeah. I should be in x65, at least it's telling me that. And it seems all good. Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, that's what I also saw, that it's a result callback. Even though it should, by default, not matter too much, so I'm gonna put this back anyways. I think I'm now thinking that I'm completely stupid. I'm not able to do Windows anymore. Never had problems with create window X of that failing that hard. That's old DirectX 12 code that I'm currently referencing from time to time, also for the series. Now I just need to find window, GFX window. Easy da, also HWND. I should just reuse code that I've once written, but yeah. What parameters do you mean by resetting? I mean, the parameters are looking fine, that are... yeah, but create window X is like create window is most of the time, I think, even calling create window X shouldn't make really a difference. So I think that I could imagine going wrong is something with the parameter, maybe. I want to quickly verify what I've used in here. How I have done that. But this is how the thing is, this is very basic Windows code. The only thing that I really can imagine is that, but why shouldn't not be fine? Or is that new hand? Is that this one couldn't work? Maybe that's the problem. This could be maybe the problem, because I don't think that create window should be the thing. If I put that to null pointer, Maybe allocating a function pointer directly copying from another one, but I don't think that this should be a problem, right? Why should it be a problem to call a copying constructor of the function? I know. I mean, it's definitely some null pointer issue. But what is null pointer? I mean, yeah, no, obviously that one is mi h menu. Or is it not allowed to? But this one shouldn't be a problem to be null pointer or 0 because it's converted to the same thing, right? This is also in this style and not the extended style. I mean, only thing that I could imagine, but I don't think that this is... Oh my god, yeah, okay. I know what's the problem. It's odd that it's behaving like that when I'm not including string view. That's the only thing that I can imagine. Why is it, isn't it? Yeah, maybe because there is some... Oh, it's not the problem. Yeah, C++ is sometimes a bit doing some interesting stuff, but that's really not something that I would expect to fail at this point. Yeah, copy and move can be interesting from point to point, but it's like helpful if you're having special things. But of course it can also be a problem, and sometimes hard. Set where can the null pointer arise? Because like if I'm looking at it, all the data looks good. Of course I'm going into a stream and have some odd problems. So what maybe it is this function pointer that's behaving odd. I don't think that it should be. The lambda here used as the function. This shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, that's what I would think as well. Yeah, maybe probably I should first try to like completely hardcode everything. Or maybe I'm gonna even hardcode in here so that I can replace stuff when it comes to that point. No, it's not even going to that. It's not even returning. The null pointer comes is earlier. The exception is earlier. It's during the call. What we're gonna do is completely Microsoft conform. What is the name for the desktop? But this one, this is actually optional. Yeah, okay. I think you can create a window out of thin air. Why? Its instance should be valid. It was looking valid. It probably should be. Because it was generated in or called in main, and the data was looking like it was always looking. And I've copied it over there. Okay, they are not specifying the default one. I mean, Microsoft always suggests like WinRP null, but it shouldn't really make a difference because it's should be both 0 if it's converted. Okay, now the window class is empty, so it should not work. No, I don't have a win main yet. There should be now null, so it's something is wrong with the parameters. Get model handle is done here. It's a normal main currently. So some of the parameters are not working like they should. Let's find it. So let's say we're first gonna bring in the trivial stuff. Oh, come on, visual assist. Yeah, hrefs instance. Yeah, if you accidentally take like hrefs instance or name them the other way around and you take hrefs instance as the normal instance, it is null because it's no longer used in Windows. Yeah, that's correct. So let's first put in these. I mean, yeah, at least if I don't get a crash, everything should be good. So that works. It's probably something with the class names, but I couldn't imagine really why, because it never had a problem with using a W string. The only thing could be the string view, but is the string view? I mean, a string view should be valid as long as the call is doing it, as long as the call is running. Use at home returned by with make intertom instead of class name. Yeah, I could use it. Yeah, maybe it's even faster. But it should work. I never had a problem with using that. Maybe because it's defined, yeah, but there shouldn't be a problem, should it be? I don't suspect that this is a problem, but not really. I think maybe it is the. But even when I converted a W string to a string, I think it failed. So it must be the class name that's really like giving us the issue. Okay, interesting. Why is it a class name? It should be. It's there. Huh. I don't know why this should be a problem. Because it's a string, right? Okay, interesting. What would happen? Maybe because I'm doing it in a header. I mean, this might not be good, but an std string should call this and initialize it properly, because this one doesn't work. That's expected, because it's another an std string. Yeah, and maybe I just use the atom then. What happens? But I'm intrigued why it's not working. I mean, yeah, you're right. That this was the problem, but I didn't really see why it should be the problem. What? Because I mean, it worked here, right? Or if it wouldn't work here, or do I not get really the information on why it's? But I mean, register class X should have already failed if that would be the problem, because why should it work in registering the class, but it does not work when creating the window? Because it's the same way, like I've done that here. I mean, but here it was like, but it's still both times converted to a vchar pointer, const wchar pointer. But if I do it like that, and then I'm grabbing it and storing it, then it might be stored differently. Is it a problem just because it's done in the header? No, it's the same. But I don't get it why it shouldn't work. Why does that not work? Or is it not the... Or it is not that problem, or it is a combination. This... Okay. That's interesting. Also failing if I'm hardcoding it here as well. The get instance, it is just here. This worked for me always. There shouldn't be a problem. A null terminated string or a class item created by a previous call to the register class or register class X function. Yeah. That's I mean, is it too long? Shouldn't be too long. There. Maybe I should add a class keyword as well. Or am I mixing up parameters? No, this is the class name, then it's a window name. But that should... That's register true. I'm intrigued if it works with the atom. No, because register class is in the init function, and init is called here. And then down here I call the new window, which is calling get window class. So I should have... Yeah, that's that one should be initialized. If I... Yeah, it should work. I have plenty of singletons that work like that. Which this DD should now have it to true. Here now I'm getting to my class registered, which is true. And now I'm at that instance. I have an H instance, which definitely looks like this image DOS header image base. Class registered in there is true. And then I go into the create window X. It's not a problem there. It is... I could copy out this code in the main, it would do the same thing. I need to... not need to reference how I created these windows. Maybe it's something with the properties. Some property that is wrong inside the window class itself. Maybe it's... CS on... Yeah, okay. Maybe I should set my window proc. Yeah, it's that issue. I forgot to fill in the window proc. That's a problem. Here, if the window proc is not set up, it's of course a null pointer. Sometimes stupid issues like that keep you up quite a long time. Yeah, that's doing it. That's sometimes... Yeah. Sometimes you do mistakes where you could beat yourself. Oh my god. At some point it is there. Yeah, have in the chat. Yeah. That took way too long to figure out. I'm gonna put it back to my style, how I liked it previously. Because I now know that it should work. Now this should do it. Yeah, welcome to CPP, that's right. Did I? Yeah, everything is there. Now I'm inside of that create stuff, and that should do it. Yeah, now it's making a breakpoint there because it is calling the singleton. Yeah, that is most of the time it's the case. You think it's a really, really complicated issue, and it was just a stupid thing like forgetting a value. And boom, you're screwed. You're now proper value? Yeah, I mean it has done its stuff, and there is the window, and there it's gone. But if I make a breakpoint here, I should be able to at least see an unresponsive window somewhere floating around there. Yeah, okay. Took way too long. And now we have at least a bit of window code in there. Yeah, in math, like the issues where you forget something like a minus or a thing, that's always like yeah, that's most of the time the case, right? You're having the right equation to start with, the complicated path, figuring out the equations and how to do it, and then you make a stupid mistake while doing the actual math, calculating the result. Yeah. What was I doing now recently? It was not a coding project. I'm currently like working on my new Typo 3 web page for the company that I'm founding for the YouTube channel, and I was like 1.5 an hour going into the source code of Typo 3, finding out why something is not working, and at the point I just like mistyped some keyword of TypoScript, and that's was like screwing up everything. That is. Yeah, the thing is, like, if you know how that string should look and you look at it, you're always reading it like it would be correct, but it's not. Because you know, and if it's just a simple, like, if you're swapping two characters and you know how it should look, and then you're easily screwed. So, okay, now we can do proper stuff. Creating an actual window. So where am I now? Oh no, I'm at my build script. That is not what I wanted to do. Yeah, JavaScript is a whole different story. The thing is, like, TypoScript with Typo 3, it is like even worse than JavaScript because it's basically just a PHP array. Yeah, validation layers for Win32 for debugging would be interesting, and then they like in DirectX to say, hey, that parameter's wrong, and you look at this, yeah, okay, that is. I'm actually quite intrigued that I can register the class. I mean, I would have actually expected that registering a class with a null pointer as a window proc wouldn't work. This is what I would expect actually, because it's like invalid. This could be also like a guide for like production code. And yeah, I mean, it's like totally tuned for speed, not doing any pointer checks at all. But yeah. So let's create a window. Now, how do I want to do this? How did I do this in my DirectX 12 series? I think I have just plainly written one class for a DXGI window. Is it open? It is open. Yeah, classic MS. I think like DirectX 12 validation, the DirectX 12 debug layer is amazing. When I first started DirectX 12 development, it was not that good, but I think they even like tuned it, but DirectX is like, if you read like the output, I previously always have put that like in the output console here in Visual Studio, but now I'm of course going to integrate this with logging, and they are really like telling you what's wrong there. Hey, you are trying to access your resource in that way, but it is currently in that state that doesn't work. It needs to be in that or that state, and you directly know, aha, that's what's going on, and it's good. But yeah, for Win32, for the default Win32, it's yeah. Yeah, I like DirectX 12. I think that DirectX 12 is really an elegant API. It works like it is. It's actually quite good and well designed. But I've now recently done some research in like the new WinUI stuff and WinRT, and it is ugly. It is full of auto, especially as return values below the namespaces. You have like, if you're typing out the namespace, it's going over the whole screen. And it's not good to debug, and I have like spent maybe a day on researching if this would be something of interest also for the channel, but no. It is, I don't know if anybody is using WinRT, but it's damn complicated. And you really need to study every single source file to understand what's going on, especially done with the nugget packages, and some headers are like generated on your system before you compile, and it's bringing compile times to the sky, and you need to get your full tool chain to be working with nugget packages, and yeah. Yeah, of course, like, why do not do like a WinUI namespace and that's it? And then everything is in there, but no. Needs to be like Microsoft runtime, UI composition, system composition window. What is it? Mica composition controller. Oh, yeah. But that's not really good. But now let's take a look on how I've done that. So I think that my graphics window was an easy HVND in this case, and I think I want to do something similar there as well. I don't want to write too many abstraction layers. I think that's not really useful. So what I want to do, I mean, yeah, I've done that previously as well, trying to make things really, really fancy and really, really cool. But most of the time it's also slowing down the code, especially if you, I think I've once written like a whole class abstraction for a message box on Windows, and it was like, you could do something like super win message box MSG, message box MSG or something like that, and then you could like write in text, and you needed to shift in the icon setup. Yes, of course it's fancy, but yeah. Yeah, of course. For example, like LZ4, right? I've used LZ4 for compression here, for the packaging. And the thing is, that's the LZ4 code for compression and decompression of resource data. And the actual LZ4 is like in 3 function calls to just do compression. Compression bounce, compress, decompress, save. That's it. And that's like a simple API. Of course, okay, I've done some void pointers here. I needed to convert them to char pointer. Could use char pointer there to be to make this even more ideal. But still, it's like a simple API. You call like one function to do the job, and that's it. Same with like initialization on WinUI, which is done like in 20 steps. Yeah. Same, yeah, STB. Compare Windows imaging codec with STB. STB image, just one call to open a PNG file. On the other hand, my code that I needed to write for the Windows imaging, the WIC, I had like this image meta stuff, which was like defining all of the code here, and this was like all the stuff that is required, like converting these GeoIDs to DXGI formats, converting what? Yeah, pointer and GUID. Yeah, because GUIDs needed to be converted to GUIDs to get the right GUID for a GUID, and then you could convert like this GUID to a DXGI format with like this Windows imaging codec, and you would have 1000 tables that map your Microsoft stuff to DXGI stuff to OpenDXGI, and basically being able to load images in comparison to like STB image. And then I had like this. This is for example like what you need to open this image with Windows imaging component. Create a stream, initialize the stream from memory, decode from Steam, create oh no, this is like for files and this was for memory. Yeah, create decoder from stream. Then you needed to get a frame, and if you have a frame, you would need to get the pixels. If it is in the wrong format, you need to get the format converter, can convert, initialize, and then copy pixels. Right, like yes, this was like basically DirectX 12 stuff. I've put some. Yeah, I mean, there is like a guide on Microsoft and they are providing you the basic example, but still, like, if you can provide this, why do you not provide a function that does that all behind the scenes? I mean, it is flexible, of course, and yeah, that's probably something that we need to do as well, because I think Windows imaging component is faster, even though it is doing more, but I found that SCB image was kind of slow. I use SCB image in my CUDA tutorials, and it was like taking so long to open up images, while like Windows imaging component was like instant. Don't know why that is though. What was the problem if I was using STB image wrong? Or if that was... I'm not that of an expert of STB image because I've just used it once. But yeah. Let's now do some DXGI stuff. DXGI context. What I like to do, coming back to like the topic of singletons and having stuff in the header, I like to have like everything that's related to the singleton in my header. That's like one of the reasons. Because I want to have like the C++ file focused on the actual implementation. FFmpeg. Yeah, that's the thing. Complexity is not equal to performance. It's that's really depending. I mean, if it's something is more complicated, it's most of the time sometimes slower. It depends on how it's really implemented. If you have like a complex context that you need to set up correctly because it's very versatile, it could end up being the same because the actual like decoding that's done in the background is the same, but you have with a complex context more points of customization. It can be even, for example, maybe even faster because you can probably tune it for your usage. But if you have like convoluted code that is like doing a lot of shift operations, for example, for the ones that I have written a few years ago, the complicated message box, which was like doing so many shift operations. I mean, it was kind of flexible because you could do like shift and then do it, but nowadays you just do it with format, FMT or something like that with your formatting stuff. But I had a few, I have written that with the complicated Windows stuff. Maybe I have the code still somewhere around. And the problem was like that many things were like doing some complex computations to just make the interface nicer. To kind of like being able to shift in icon styles to then compute them together every time it's opened, instead of somebody just typing them in a different format, and then it's like slower. But it always depends. Sometimes yeah, it's faster, sometimes it's slower. FFmpeg, yeah, FFmpeg. I haven't completely touched FFmpeg at all. I once stumbled across FFmpeg when I was like beginning all that stuff and wasn't really experienced, and for a beginner I wasn't able to handle it at all, and since then I have not used it actually. Yeah. But it should support many things, right? FFmpeg is quite featureful. You can really do. There are some interesting stuff you can do with it. Yeah, most of the time we complicate stuff for the 1% of code where we need it. Yeah, that's like the thing. I sometimes do overcomplicate stuff if I have time, just for the purpose of research. I have like something in my mind and say, right, you could do it like that. I wouldn't 100% need to do it for that project, but it would be kind of like interesting to see how this is going to be implemented, just to kind of like prove the concepts. I think it's fine to do it if you just want to say, like, for example, make a proof of concept, see if this works. But if you're working on like production code or not on some hobby code, if you have hobby code, you can overcomplicate as much as you want, as long as you can handle it and it's still like fine, I think. Like example of overcomplication, having the handler as an STD function. You could do this with a simple interface. You could do this completely static, maybe even. Maybe not, because we do have the concept of classes, but you could do this with an interface. Would be totally fine to do it with an interface and not with an STD function that you need to bind. However, if I would write a library, I think I would go for STD function actually, because it gives more flexibility for somebody using the library. And that's actually the second time that I'm writing this with STD function. I don't know where I've written that. I think it was on was it on the example some example project. No, it was on my getting to know WinRT stuff. Yeah, that I have tried this there the first time. Because I previously just always used a interface for that, but that depends on what you want to have as a use case. But it's always like good to try new things out, even if they might complicate things too much. As long as you are not making the interface too complicated, I think it's fine also to try it out. If you're on a commercial project, though, it's a different story. Talking about overcomplication, do I have my own written version of the COM pointer in here? Because I don't like Microsoft's COM pointer. Yeah. That's definitely a point. In general, if you're writing a library, you have like one main consideration that you're doing. If you're completely like saying, all right, I'm gonna write a like bare bones library, and or if you want to make it a bit more advanced. I think it really depends on the use case. I mean, many libraries are not considered for being used in projects because they use the standard library. Because there are still, I think, companies that abandon it. But in my case, I tend to I was like completely against the standard library in general. I've written like especially when I learned C++, I've written like all my classes on my own. I haven't like used Vector. Maybe I think Vector was one of the few things that I used, but even that not always the case. I have dozens of time written my own implementation for like everything: custom memory allocators, custom binary trees, custom linked lists, double linked lists, queues, and stuff like that. Because I always was like thinking, no, I don't know how this STD stuff works. But the thing is, if I'm I'm like working, studying, and having like this YouTube channel, and so at least for the YouTube part, I've decided to completely use the standard library, because if I write everything on my own, then it's a bit hard. Even through, if this is standard library that somebody uses, then okay, there's STD library in there. It's always also better if you're not depending on the standard library at all. It's like a bit more portable, cross-compiler versions, maybe. Depends on what other features you are using. But yeah, it is like a big question. If I would have like a big company, I would probably maybe invest in having my own libraries that I control. But that depends. It's always like you need to compare what is more worth of doing. And actually, for the company that I'm working, I have written a tool twice. Actually, I've written this tool twice, completely from scratch. The first time it was like a very static implementation because we need to have a fast implementation fast. So they needed the tool, the old tool version written in like Visual Basic.net. Didn't work because it was like using the official Microsoft Excel APIs with like COM, and was very badly implemented, not documented at all, and it was basically not handling the load that was required, and it kept crashing as well, and we needed it too fast. So I made an implementation which was basically having all the acceleration structures and data structures implemented by myself, and it was just like a throwaway product, just written to be fast and reliable for that one certain use case. And then I've re-implemented the tool, making it a bit more flexible with a UI, customizable and configurable, all the stuff that you need. And the second time I used like the standard library, and it turned out that in terms of speed, it really doesn't matter if you're implementing it on your own or use the standard library. It's like you need to know how the standard library works. That's my main consideration. So if you have a simple interface without standard library, it's good if you can do it. So yeah, let's bring in some more bloaty dependencies. My good old friend COM pointer. Yeah, no problems. Really enjoy doing them. Thank you for watching them, and yeah, it's nice that they are useful for you. So let's copy that code here. Where do I want to put that code? Maybe here. Now let me introduce you to my good old... I don't know, since when is Visual Studio always selecting that when you're creating new files? I want to be in here. So let me introduce you to my good old COM pointer. Why is that not looking like it should look? Now it looks like it should look. I don't know, but I was never a fan of the Microsoft's default implementation of the COM pointer. I don't like it. I really hate it. What is it? WRL COM pointer. Windows runtime, whatever. What? WRL? How is it called? Is it called COM pointer or just pointer? Or is it not even in here? I think it's in here. And then it's like... I don't know. I don't like them. I'm never gonna use them. I hate them. Can't tell you why, but I don't like the syntax and how they can be usable. I have tailored myself a COM pointer class that is basically behaving like a normal pointer. I hope this is not a faulty version. I'm not quite sure if I have the latest one up there. Alright, so is the Win SDK header already including what I need? No, it is not. DXGI. Microsoft, yeah, again, bloated namespace, Microsoft VRL COM pointer. No, but still, I hate it. We don't, good that you tell me that, but you see how often I use them? Never. So I don't know where they are. Underscore COM pointer underscore D from COM RB. Microsoft has two of them. That's even more interesting. So like that's like Microsoft one team says no, I don't like them, or is it the same one just redefined? But I know COM pointer T. It's okay-ish, but I also have my own. Yeah. Yeah, that never fails. They include D3D12. Do I have a debug macro available? That's the big old question. Do I have one? I mean, like, not that IntelliSense would be able... Oh no, today IntelliSense is actually able to find it. Hashtag include DXGI debug. Ah. There wasn't, I think, a DirectX 12 debug header as well. Yeah. D3D12 SDK layers.h. That's our friendly pointer. Header. Already confused. There. Too much pointer. Okay. This should give us, at least for now, everything that we need to get started with advanced DXGI stuff. Haven't used DXGI in quite a while, so I hope that I still remember how it works. IDX, GI. I think we... What do we need? DXGI really does only need a factory, right? Factory, where are we? 8? No. 6? Oh, 7. 7. Or are we already at 8? No, we are at 7. Or not. Huh? Why? Okay. You are suggesting me that, and then you say it's not existent. That's interesting. Where are you stored? The newer version. Interesting. Why are you suggesting me a factory 7 if it's not there? That's something that I need to take a little look at. Yeah, should be. Should be in DXGI 1_6.h. What do you do? You do adapter change event. I wouldn't really need that, but I have tended to... Yeah, factory adapter device. That's. I think is the factory also still like for enumerating? I think yes. Adapter and device. Yeah, that's what you should get from the adapter. Yeah, there's also like a way to get a display from DXGI that I tended to use, but it is heap. Yeah, depends on DirectX 12 span square file. It could be that I need a modern version of the Win SDK. What am I using? I should use the latest version, so this shouldn't be a big of a deal. But why are you not there? I'm really intrigued that Visual Assist shows me that, but it's not there. Let's see. Should have searched this in the current file, but interesting. I mean, you are there. I see it. Why? Okay. What? Because again forgot. I again forgot to include something. I'm not in a good mood today. I'm a complete idiot today. Should do a stream if I'm not able to code. But that's always. Did I call this content? Or did I have Visual Assist, which helps me renaming stuff like that? Right. This should probably be a... Oh no, I didn't define that WinVersion stuff. WinVersion stuff is overrated. There are... It's not that required, it works without it. But, yeah. There are some things that really needed, I think, but I was most of the time only defining that when I used Azure, because they are yelling at you if you compile without these defined, with like WinVersion, and there's like this other macro that you need to define. But why not? Why should I? I mean, if you do it properly, yeah. I always do stuff that I need to do if I'm finding that being a problem. So, then what we also need is debug. Yeah, same. I never define it there as well. Why should I mean, I don't know, is Microsoft putting some hints in your application that it is only targeting that version? I'm not quite sure of that. I think like it's more like a compatibility thing. If you're defining it and it's an older version, you might get some old features back. Or if you're like defining that with the current version, it's kind of like safe if you're compiling on a newer version that it's still like tries to behave the same. I'm not quite sure really what's the purpose of doing it, since if it's working without it, I didn't define it really. How many debug do we have? Some APIs and flags. Yeah, at least if you're not, that's the question, right? If you're requiring these APIs, you need to use it. But I never really, at least in like this graphic stuff, never found something that required that. So yeah, that's always a big question. Now, let's see, what can this debug thing do? I think this debug, did we have a debug layer on DXG? I don't think so. We had leak tracing. Interesting. There was an interesting thing, right? I remember that. You need to first, I think, turn on the DirectX 12 debug layer so that you can then use the DXGI layer. There was something. I think there was something. I mean, the main purpose is calling report live objects on DXGI instead of D3D12. So that you're not getting annoyed with that one device, which is your debug device, that says, oh, one live device. Yes, it's my debug device, I know. Can you please not report that? But that's like the main purpose of using DXGI debug. But I might wanna... I think I'm gonna get completely rid of the DXGI folder here. And I'm just gonna call this one... I wanna rename that one. No, that's not Visual Assist. I'm not want to bloat that too much. It's going to be a D3D context and it's going to contain DirectX stairs always as well. ID3D, it's DD12, debug 1. HGI debug. How many debug do we have? 3? Good guess. 5? What? That seems a bit high. Do we have so many debug? No. 6 debug levels. Is that the latest one that I'm knowing? Is there more information in here? That seems quite recent. At least the last change. Set force legacy barrier validation. TBD. Good. Good that we know what that's doing. Agility SDK. Okay, interesting. Do we have information about the interface? Adds debug layer, the ability to configure the auto naming of objects. Yeah, that is something that's quite useful. Auto naming. I think this was the last one that I know. This was 5. I was looking at 7 is not documented in there as well. Okay, interesting. What is the voice? My voice. Shouldn't be. Blah 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 blah. I don't know why it's sometimes it's actually at max. Can make the... I mean, yeah, I am for videos, I am boosting the voice, but the thing is, like, I always had issues that at some point the microphone was like too loud and clipping. That's why I reduced it so that it's not clipping, and then in post-processing brought up this with a proper curve, compressor, limiter and stuff. I don't know why. My audio setup sometimes sucks. I can turn it louder. I hope it's not clipping then. But yeah. Auto-naming, debug interface control. A debug interface controls debug settings. Ah, yeah. That's an interesting thing that I have not known until that point. That was the undocumented stuff. It's the ability to disable the debug layer. Now it's better. That's good. Okay. So we need the DirectX 12 debug, then the DXGI debug, and then the factory. That should be the order of doing things. Bool init. Do we gonna have some flags for initialization? I don't think so. Oh, this is gonna get an init and shutdown. Yeah, this is the problem is that Microsoft really doesn't support that. The thing is, normally if I'm recording, I now try to record on a different monitor, which has like a different resolution, but I had multiple issues of Microsoft screwing up like my desktop, my other settings when I'm increasing sizes. Make everything bigger and stuff was also not doing what it should do. I'm not quite sure. I've reinstalled my system. Maybe I wouldn't have that big of an issue, but the only thing that I could do is it's worth a try if Microsoft makes this better, but previously they don't. I can go in here and say something like, make this bigger, which would do something like that, I think, which is of course now I need to readjust that one. This is something that I can do. I hope that... Is my desktop still properly configured? Yeah, I mean, it's like always shifting the icons. It's depending if I'm redoing it after the stream. If it's putting that back up, it might work. Yeah. You can do this in Visual Studio? Can you? And wasn't aware of that actually. I'm gonna take a look at this after the stream, I think, so we get something more done, because I haven't written too much code in the last time. But for now, it should be at least a bit better. I don't want to have the code in there. Make me a file for that. There we go. All right, so the first thing that we want to have is debugging stuff. Environment, fonts and color. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check this after the stream, so maybe we can do this. Pick each window and change the font size. Yeah, this would work if that is doing what it should do. Probably, yeah, I can... That's good that Visual Studio supports something like that. I wasn't aware that it can do it. But I mean, it can do it in one video, in one window. I like the concept of VS Code, right? You press Control plus, it gets bigger. You press Control minus, it gets smaller. I mean, it's a web browser, yeah, so it's expected to do that. But I think that this is a shortcut that every application should implement. Make it as small as you want, make it as big as you want. Yeah, options. I know. I can't really answer the question why Germans and Russians are good at this. I mean, like, it's at least it's not the school, right? Because the teachers in school wasn't really able to get 5 lines of code straight on their own. At least in my school, we just had like one good IT teacher that was teaching programming and CPU architecture, computer architectures in general, assembler programming. We had one like teacher that could do it, but the other ones they all sucked. Same at university. They might have a bit of knowledge, but many of them don't. Don't know. It's more like I completely learned it from like YouTube videos, books, trying this out since I have a computer. And maybe also like starting doing videos on YouTube already when I was like a child, even through the videos were typically bad and wasn't programming related at the first, but at least I've done something and doing this for, yeah, a bit of time. Yeah, our friendly IID PPV arcs helper to our D3D debug, and that's my comp pointer. It just works as you would expect it should work. I think you're H result, right? Ah. I should have proper H result validation, I think. Maybe we want to make it loggable, and maybe we want to write ourselves a macro that can actually log if an H result goes wrong. Would be kind of useful. Yeah, we should do this. H results are gonna come more often than you think, especially when you go to DirectX 12. Good old friendly H result. That logger, not last error. And again, I forgot my log manager because it's nicely decoupled. And you are D3D12. Ah, yeah, you're again. Good old Singleton falling on my feet. No, let's. Do I bother writing? Yeah, let's write a header for that. And maybe I could even write a conversion operator, but I don't think that I want to go too nuts with operator overloading. Get text. So let's create the file. Alright, how was it called? Translate message? Was it called translate message? No, it was not called translate message. Format message, I think. Format message A, since I want to have an ASCII string. Yeah, that was the function that I was looking for, but it's not used like that. Format message is more complicated. I need to look it up. Flags. Of course, now the scaling here is also affected, so I don't need to scale that much in. I mean, like, the general idea of doing DPI scaling for YouTube is understandable. I need to see maybe Windows 11 is handling that these days better. I mean, I don't know if I have I even tried this with Windows 11. Yeah, no, don't know, quite sure. We do want to allocate a buffer for you, because then I don't need to be concerned about that. Maybe if it's doing that right, I might do this for the videos if it can handle that. I previously had issues with like whole display settings resetting when you do rescaling too often, and I wasn't bothering doing that. But yeah, Format message from system is, I think, what we want. The function should search the system message table, yeah, and ignore inserts. That's also what we want. Because we don't want to have a new line on each of our translated age result messages, which is screwing our logging up. I think this should be null pointer then, right? Use com error. What is com error? Some other Microsoft stuff. Com error. What are you? Com error Klasse. It's German again. I don't know why. I have like my system is on English, my browser is on English, and still Microsoft tries to give me their German text. But yeah. But it's not listed. How bloated is that? I'm gonna provide it. I think I'm just gonna implement my function here. I don't know that one. That's like an error message, but this probably, there's probably, I bet the implementations on GitHub. They don't. They just have the docs on that on GitHub. Where have they stored that one? They have stored this in which header? comdev.h. Okay, this doesn't look like... but does it give me a ASCII string, or is it always white char? It's teacher pointer. But teacher would mean that I get it depending on my build, so I would get a white string since I'm on Unicode, and that's not what I want. But this is probably the system message is obtained by calling the format message function, yeah, so I can just call that one. This is null pointer, this is my age result, and this is my language ID. Language ID, I think, does require some, hey, I want to use the default ID one. Person, blah, 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 blah. I think you don't need to use it, right? What are you? You are a LP string, so a pointer, right? I mean, it's set. I think it should be set by this function anyway. No, you are not. Do I need to do some nasty conversion around with that? The function allocates a buffer and places the pointer to the buffer. And size. Okay. So this is done like that. And I need to convert this manually to a char pointer. Yeah, interesting. This gets quite big. Then I want to return error message. It should no, this needs to be local free previously. So I can say local. So I probably wanna give this some default value, which I mistyped again. And then I want to check if my error message is there. Message is going to be equal to error message, and local free is then called error message. like that. And what we want to do is we want to have a friendly macro. And then we want to do my friendly. Yeah, I want to call this one log age result, but log age result is kind of like implying that's always logged. But I don't want to... I think I'm just going to keep it like that because I don't want to make it too complicated. Yeah, but I do want to do logging there. That's the point. They might also want to log the expression that was called. Expression. Because what I want to do, if failed... yeah, but do I also want to return... Well, I previously used exceptions when these ones failed. Well, I think it's just going to be doing the logging if it's failed. I might want to make you a bit more understandable, right? No point in not making you understandable. I should put you there then as well. So if that failed, I wanna do call get logger. Error. I don't know. I'm not able to do proper coding today. And then maybe I wanna stringify my expression. What was stringification? Already forgot that. Haven't done macros in quite a while. Failed. I think I do want to kind of like provide a trace here as well. And say something like alt expression. Then we do the expression and then age result failed. Maybe I do want to provide some information where it failed. File. Or maybe just a function. I tend to no longer use the file macro because it has too many bloat and path around it. Line, so... But this is some nasty stuff. Is that the right one? I'm not quite sure. Redefine macros, that's what I'm looking for. Is there an example provided, so the function name is just that one? Maybe we do want to have the signature, because if we have multiple of them... Yeah, I mean, we have the line still, but yeah, let's use that one. And now let's check out how does stringification work. No, that's not my browser. Yeah, you see, I'm searching that quite some time. Because it's like You need, I think, 2 macros, or it's not working. Because I think you need this double the time. It's just hashtag. Or can I just use? Let's maybe try the order, but I think it doesn't work. You can't do that. Or maybe you can? Let's see. Let's see if it works. Let's see. So the idea is that we are... You're not in here, or are you? Oh, you're in infrastructure. Ah, it's I already am in infrastructure. Yeah, okay. Let's see. What I want to quickly do is I want to quickly do a log H result for SOK. But it doesn't work. It expands to H result HR equals the conversion. If H result whatever, get logger trace expression. SOK, yeah, I see the problem. Of course, I need to have it in here. And semicolons, yeah. Even through I am in macros, this doesn't mean that this needs to be C++ code. That should do the trick. Which requires some recompiles, it seems. I'm not calling it. Why would I start that? Oh, actually it doesn't compile. Yeah, because I must return a value. Makes sense. Oh, yeah, okay. I can deal with that. Oh, this is currently... I don't have an instance for that. Yeah, let's create this kind of like that. This shall be singletoned at some point as well, but for now I think it's fine to do it like that. Ah, yeah. Shouldn't have too many context things. You are probably from somewhere else. My good old friend. Ah, yeah, my D3D12 get debug interface. It is in some other lib. It's not in D3, or is it in? Officially it is in D3 lib, but I think it's not. Because that one shall be already... That shall already be referenced, right? Have I added that? Or have I not? Haven't added my default. That I can't remember. Why haven't I done that? I think DXGI also has a lib. And I think DXGI is not using version numbers in its lib if I'm... DXGI Factory 7, for example. You should be in... Yeah, there's of course is no library provided for DXGI, because why would there be a library provided? But I think there's a DXGI.lib. And I don't wanna... But I think this is required. Let's regenerate that. And let's see. This guy is sometimes a bit of a pain to link, and I don't know why Conan is no longer copying its. Yeah, this wasn't locked as expected because it's SOK. But if I now do something like fail, it should be locked because it's a failure. Yeah. Expression is fail, H result failed. Maybe I should make a double point unspecified error. That is good. But it's still having its new line in here. Why? Was that other one required as well? I think yes. The function ignores regular line breaks in the message definition text. Yeah. Okay, that's what we want as well. And what I might want to do is I might want to switch them. Because I first want to have the error and then I want to have the trace for that. Yeah. And I've again forgot my points, but I'm not rerunning that for that. Unspecified error, function bool, sickle deck, RTI infrastructure, D3D context, and init void. This is more than we need at line 7. Yeah, that's everything that I want. I want to have the function in the line. Files are not required. Do I have a double space in there? Who would think about that Microsoft puts a space in here? Yeah, hello, welcome to the stream. So, this should give us everything that we need. It's not returning though. Not quite sure if I really want to add that. Maybe I want to have a... but then we have double expression. No, I think we're not gonna do this like that. We're actually gonna do it something like that. Man, returning fuzzy, but I think what I wanna do... Yeah, I know how I wanna do that. I want to follow Microsoft's convention and provide an X and provide a feature that I can append to that. And the feature is gonna be the fault action. And default action is plainly emitted here. Then I want to provide a default implementation that basically, yeah, should it just by default return false? So do we want to throw log H result RF, yeah, for return false. Expression and then return false. And then we have everything combined that we need. Then I can do something like that. And again, because yeah, the fault action needs a as well. Yeah, I could make this with macro, but we can also do this like that on there, because additionally, a semicolon too much is not a problem. Now this should do the trick. Then we can go in and enable the debug layer. Now we can say dxgi get debug interface 1. We need some flags. And now these. I think this is just maybe an unused flag. Not used, yeah. What is it for type? uint. This should do the trick. What we want to do there as well. I don't think that we want to have GPU-based validation, but we do want to have auto name enabled. I think you can't really do anything. Enable leak tracing. Why not? I don't know what this is really doing. Haven't tinkered around with that. This is, I think, a quite new flag. Come on. Starts tracking leaks for the current trend. Ah, really? That's not what that name suggests, actually. But yeah, I think I want to use the info queue at some point. But I have no idea how that info queue stuff works. I am not quite sure who can even create that info queue. Debug interface. Who is creating that? Factory. Create debug queue. Info queue. This would be something that might be interesting. There's probably some Chuck Walburn. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the info queue is in the D3D device as D3D debug ID 3D11 debug. The device is stored as a debug. That's interesting. I need to load this manually. No. Why would I need to load this manually? This could be actually that I need to load this manually. There was something. Because the DLL is not loaded automatically, but this is... But it still works, right? Don't get any issues. Did we load it? DXGI debug. Yeah, DXGI debug was loaded. Interesting. Maybe because the debug layer loaded them. Is it true that the debug layer loads them and that is why it's working? DXGI debug has already been loaded. No, it's not the case. Okay, so maybe it works automatically, but earlier there was some functions that you needed to load, right? Because get progress, DXGI get... Is it the legacy get debug interface? That could be. Maybe the newer one is automatically there. Okay, you can use the DX... Can I use you to get an info queue as well? DHI info queue. Info queue. Are there newer versions available? No. Let's see if I can get you as well through there. Otherwise, I might need to really load the other function or see if it is already there. But seems that this works actually. Yeah, that's good. Now, what can you do in InfoQ? I think it can kind of like hook up a message callback, right? Push, 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 or was it a different message queue? Or do I need to get them? More interesting. Right, X. D3D12 info queue. Is there a D3D12 info queue as well? Interesting. It seems completely identical. So it seems like you really need to get the message manually from them. That's interesting. I don't like the idea of getting them manually, but we could call this, I think, every time the loop iterates. Ah, that's good. We already have it. I think it's actually, this might be the same queue than stored in DirectX, but because why is there a different interface for you? Maybe somebody already asked that question. No. Oh. I hate pages that spam you with ads. Problem. Okay, this is just some rep Stack Overflow. Rep Stack Overflow stuff. Get a message W. Compile error. I don't care about what you're doing. Interesting. Seems to be different stuff, but I think we need to take a look at this. I need to take a look at this when we are getting some messages here. For now, actually, I need to end the stream. So thank you for watching. See you in the next stream video, probably video. Hope you enjoyed. We did quite some bad mistakes this stream. Or not we, but we all tried to debug it and it was too simple. So yeah. I'm always on that video stuff where you talk with we to engage the user, the viewer. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Have a nice evening, morning, noon, wherever you are, night.